What's up? We're back. We're here with an Arival representative?
Representative.
See, it's been a long day already.
That's a better word.
I'm just making up words here and there. Jayme.
Yep.
Tell us about what your title is and what you've been doing. I also should have told you that's kind of the camera you can kind of glance at if you want to.
So,
but tell us, marketing operations, right?
Right. So primarily it started out as marketing and has evolved as we've gotten closer to the event into more logistics and operations, but primarily marketing.
So you got to get people there and then you got to make them happy as they get there.
Correct. Make sure people know about the event, get them there, and then create a great event that makes it worthwhile for them to attend. So.
And what makes it worthwhile to attend for you guys? Like, what are some things that in your head you kind of tried to keep coming back to and making sure everyone was happy?
Right.
Or most people.
So I think the number one thing is, what people are going to come here and take away something new that they learned, some piece of education or knowledge, or a new connection, whether it be a colleague or a supplier, or perhaps they found a new res tech to work with. So taking away, getting something out of it that they didn't know or have before they attended Arival.
And as you were, I mean, it's a new event, completely new event.
Completely new.
So you have to kind of, I mean, this I think was underserved, obviously. So maybe convincing people was pretty easy in that way. But we'll just say that anyway. But, you know, how did you guys focus on convincing people to invest to come here and make that yes decision?
So I would say for sure people were wary at first. A new conference, a name, Arival with one R.
I never made that mistake. Oh, it's a lie. I did make that mistake. On the URL, I think, for this actual thing, I was like, oh, man, I did it.
Yeah. So I think that was the biggest challenge, was convincing people that this is a legit, worthwhile conference. And the way that we did that at first was through our wonderful launch partners, Fair Harbor, Checkfront, Tickets, and Gateway Ticketing Systems. And our other Arival partners, Expedia, Rezdy, Veltra, Peak, we were able to get the word out, TripAdvisor and Viator, of course, via them. They really helped us market the event to their distribution list. And so people who are Fair Harbor customers say, well, Fair Harbor is a sponsor of this event, and they're my people. Maybe I should take this seriously and look into it. And that's really how, in the beginning, we got a lot of people to buy tickets to come here.
And that's really interesting because we do have a lot of events, readers, you know, kind of events, destinations, things like that. So, you know, if you're building a new event, really focus on getting those first marquee sponsors, right? Because
Absolutely.
It does add that legitimacy.
Absolutely. So that was key. And that continued all the way until here, until today. But that was with being a new conference and not having a database of people from previous years to look into, we relied heavily on our partners to do that for us.
What about speakers as a marketing device? It seems like having, you know, a good speaker slate is equally important.
Absolutely.
You know? So how did you guys approach that?
So we relied, speakers was the second tier of marketing that we did. We really tapped into our speakers and their connections and the people they work with to also get the word out. And we had some people create some fun videos for us that we sent out as part of some email marketing. And so they were really the second line of marketing for us.
So getting the speakers to kind of engage enough to take some time to do those sort of
I mean, it invested the speakers too. So it wasn't like we connected with them and said, you're going to speak, and then we didn't talk to them again for 6 months until right before the event. We've kept them engaged the whole time so that they can engage their audience, their list too.
What were some of the ways that you guys did that? Just kind of always being in communication, or walking
always communication. We really tried to have a big influencer marketing campaign where we used those speakers. We created some content for them via email, and they created content for us via they recorded some videos like on their iPhone. Joey Robinson, who's one of our speakers, he works at Big Bus. He just recorded a fun video on his iPhone, and then we sent it out. He sent it out to his list. And then we tapped into their social followers as well, of course. So them posting, you know, hey, I'm speaking at Arival was the first thing, and then more like, here's what I'll be talking about at Arival. who's joining me at Arival. So we really used it in that way.
And how did you get them to do that? What was getting your messaging, a lot of the glad arming and smiling? Or
we just asked.
Yeah.
I think we just asked,
okay.
And genuinely, the speakers are genuinely excited to participate in this because our speakers are experts in the field. And they could see the need for this event for the tours and activities and attractions sector. And so they were really willing to help.
So something underserved, kind of realizing everyone's like, yes, I'm passionate about this, I want
exactly.
this to happen.
It's like, how could you not be here? We've been needing something like this. We're all part of this community, and let's all come together and do this.
So do you just kind of start, I'm very curious on the process of, you just make like a master list of potential speakers and winnow it out, or do you start with the tracks and the idea? When you're programming and balancing, is there a starting point that someone, because a lot of people might be thinking about smaller events or things they're doing?
So that really was the job of our 3 co-founders, Douglas Quimby, Alex Kramer, and Bruce Rossard, and they tapped into their network, and they did say, these are the topics we want to cover. Let's tap into our network and see who are the best people to cover these topics. So we started it that way.
And then making sure that it kind of fits with what the industry problems, that sort of thing.
Correct, making sure that it's helpful, worthwhile education for our suppliers. Really, we're thinking with the supplier in mind. These are people who are sometimes very small mom and pop businesses that don't have access or haven't had access to this type of education before. And so we're always keeping that in the forefront is this going to be, what are their pain points and how can we address them at Arival?
That's cool, because a lot of conferences are very, either they're future, really forward-looking, or a lot of it's just pie-in-the-sky kind of fluffy stuff that no one can ever verify. Because it's like, well, in 10 years, I'm not going to come to you in 10 years and say, you were wrong.
Right, I'm not going to remember that.
But the takeaway part is really helpful.
Right, and so we said, I had someone come up to me today, a supplier who runs corporate tours for large companies, and he said, I wasn't sure if this was going to be worth my time, but it is, because when would I have access to someone from Airbnb, someone from Google, someone from TripAdvisor, all in the same place?
Amazing.
Yeah.
Right? So that access. And then it's small enough still, where it's
small enough. I mean, it's big now, but it's still small enough that people are making personal connections here.
It's something, it's interesting in like the beginning. It's like any sort of like social network too, early on, it's really cheap to get involved if you want to like sponsor stuff, and same with here in the sense that it's still small enough that it's intimate, but of course things grow.
Right.
So
we'll
at some
see.
point, it's going to grow, and it's up to you guys, of course, like where that point is to stop or not.
Yep.
But I do like these earlier stage things because you actually can get straight into it.
Absolutely. I think people are really connecting here.
It's amazing.
The size. Yep.
Well, let's kind of go into, before we wrap it up today, it's the first day. You seem to be still, well, you're sitting down now, but you're, not asleep.
Yeah.
What are, like, for someone who's doing events, when there's problems, how do you deal with customer service in a kinetic environment where some people are maybe tired, they've traveled, and maybe they're grumpy, and trying to make everybody happy as much as possible?
Exactly. So, well, those are the things that you need to keep in mind, is that everyone's journey here is a little bit different, and we know that pretty much 90% of our attendees have traveled to get here, and we need to keep that in mind. I mean, they're not at home, they are on a trip, and so there's a lot going on, of course, but I think we're here for our attendees who are our customers, and we want to make sure that they are happy.
Just get it done, right?
Get it done. I think the biggest thing today was we did not have enough coffee. People need coffee. We'll know that for next year. Coffee all day long, no breaks in the coffee. I think that's the key.
That's interesting.
To keeping
people
happy.
It makes sense, but it sounds pricey. But I guess
well, it's just coffee, but you would think it started right after lunch. People started asking when the coffee was coming out.
They're just like, I'm already done. I'm asleep and it's happy. Yeah.
Need more coffee.
Need more coffee. Lessons learned. And then, first, it's the last question. So for a successful event at the end of tomorrow, what do you hope the attendee, kind of the majority feeling is? Like they say, I got X out of it, or what would you like people to say at the end?
I mean, I think the bottom line is we want people to say, I'm so glad that I traveled and came here. Everyone's going to get something different out of it, but we want people to be excited about the connections they made and what they learned, and tell their friends and their fellow suppliers and people in tours and activities to come back for next year.
That's great. Well, we'll find out tomorrow, won't we?
We will.
Thank you so much for doing this.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Sure.
Keep going. Almost there. More coffee.
More coffee.